Hey guys, what's going on? It's getting cold here in New England and I'm trying to prep my wood stove for the season, but turns out my system has some issues, roughly $17,000 of issues. So I figured this was good motivation to try and list some of the books I have laying around, some of the more valuable ones or the ones that I think are more valuable. Let's see if we got $17,000 worth. Starting off with something seasonal, everyone's favorite. We got a whole bunch of Goosebumps. I collect these throughout the year and then I put them for sale in October. I love these shiny ones. This is what got me as a kid. Specifically this one. I actually did a few run-throughs of this yesterday sitting on the couch. It's hard to resist the temptation of cheating and just flipping through the book and finding the good ending. We got a whole bunch of them. And I don't remember them being too valuable. We're gonna look it up right here. I believe it's like $4 a book when you sell them in a lot. 13 sold for $39, 50 sold for $20. We'll call it $3 each. They're in fairly good condition and all of them are first edition. Actually, one of them even has the bookmark and the trading cards inside. Love to see that. We got exactly 20 of them, so put $60 on the board. Next up, we got another Halloween lot. Been collecting these throughout the year. Scary stories to tell in the dark, all different varieties, probably from different time periods. This is the one I remember, although the one I remember had this big weird looking skull. I think it was smoking a pipe, could be wrong. This is not going to be worth very much. Probably the same as the Goosebumps book, $3 each. Let's put $12 on the board, and I'm not going to calculate what percentage of the goal that is because that would be demoralizing. Let's get some bigger ticket item here. Fourth Wing. Book 2's favorite book. I think this is here because it's first edition, first printing, and we've got 2 copies of it. No, that's a different book with the exact same design. Okay, so we got a series here. Is this first edition as well? It's got some sprayed edges. This is first edition, first printing. Let's see what that's worth. A lot of varying results. We're gonna say 120. We're gonna be a little bit optimistic here. This is a cool set I've been holding on to in my personal collection. If you've played Diablo, these are lore books. They do like a biblical thing where each of these is the story from some character's perspective. I have no idea what their value is. My guess would be like $10 each, perhaps. Let's find out. Maybe even a little bit more. I'm gonna say like $15 each, so 45 bucks on the board. This is another Halloween title. I don't even know how that's supposed to be pronounced. This is an art book put out by someone who seems to be inspired by whoever did the Tool albums. Kind of cool stuff, but definitely creepy. Creepy in a subtle way, which I appreciate. And I remember picking this up because it had value. Hopefully I'm right. And we're gonna stay on the optimistic side of things and say about 25 bucks for that one. That's counting money. Here is a terrifying book. Computational differential equations. I don't dare open this because I'm not sure if I can unsee what's within. Gonna be a lot of long equations. Irrational numbers, that kind of thing. Even being optimistic on this one, it's only 20 bucks. Okay, before we continue, I want to show you some books that are more than just financial value in this video. I found a copy of Sirens of Titan that I'm going to add to my collection. I've decided to start acquiring these Vonnegut books as well as the other ones. So I was excited to find Sirens of Titan out in the wild, which is now my favorite Vonnegut book. My mom is collecting these old Nancy Drew hardcover books. This one's in particularly good shape and it has the top sprayed edge, which seems to be common with the originals. Hopefully she doesn't have that one. My wife found these at the thrift store the other day, 2 Alice in Wonderland books. Very minimalistic design on them. Absolutely beautiful books. Gonna look great on a shelf together. Got some danglies. And this vintage book, Tanglewood Tales by Nathaniel Hawthorne, who I've only known to have written Scarlet Letter, and this looks like some children's fantasy book, which I thought was interesting, but it's in great condition. This one, however, I may just dissolve into financial value. Let's see what we got. 10 bucks if we're lucky, put it on the board. More Halloween, The Best of Cemetery Dance Volume 2. I think this was a very niche publication, and unfortunately this copy needs to be snapped back into alignment. 30 bucks if we're lucky, and if this was in better condition, both we are going to assume here today. Thornhill, beautiful hardcover book here, great condition. Very sturdy looking, and it's a tiny hardcover, which you know I love. It's got some texture here on the front of this haunted house. You'd think this was a graphic novel, and I guess technically it is, but it goes between full-page images and text, and also just black pages as well, apparently. Which is pretty cool. Diary entry, I suppose. This has got to be worth something. Plus, it has a seasonal bonus, so that's worth, what, like, plus 20% value? Apparently, only like $8, if we're lucky. We're going to round that up to 10. That's how optimistic we are today. This book will definitely sell. Yours Cruelly, Elvira. It's got the seasonal bonus, as well as the timeless marketing technique of cleavage, which is kind of her whole deal. Sometimes you find these kind of books in the thrift store and they're signed. This has one of those kind of fools you into thinking it's signed, but it's not really. It's probably worth like $5. Root and Ritual. Another beautiful seasonal hardcover book. I think it's more general nature and connecting to the natural world than it is witchcraft and sorcery. How to harvest wild herbs, reflecting on your connection to earth. Actually, I might want to keep this book, but no, I can't today. In this condition, we are going to say $13. All right, I don't know what the total is right now, but I know it is probably discouraging, so let's get some bigger dollar values here. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I hadn't seen it in this edition before. I believe this is the UK import, and it is first edition. You don't have to take my word for it. There it is right there. I remember this being like $50. But let's see how much J.K. Rowling has tanked the value of Harry Potter in general since then. Even optimistically, I can't say $50. Probably would be about $30, especially because it's got a little tear on the front cover there. Sarah J. Maas, Take Us Home. You know these books always sell. Recently, these covers became out of print. I don't have the whole set. I'm missing a couple of them, but realistically, maybe $30 each, so $150. Not as much as I was hoping, but that's something. Brand new copy of Three Body Problem. That's an easy $10. Brand new copy of Dawn by Octavia Butler. That's another $10. The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. Sometimes these kind of books will surprise you with how much they're worth. A lot of this older, inspirational, spiritual stuff is worth a good amount of money. This one is worth about $15. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past Game Secrets. I just found this a couple of days ago. I was at the Goodwill when they brought the bins out. This was in there. And it's one of those books, could be worth thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. I actually haven't looked it up yet. I bought it without any research. And it's about $15. Okay, not bad, not bad. Here's a couple of cool comic book price guides. I figured these would probably be collectible. Oh, and one of them has an interesting story inside. Apparently the guy had contributed to one of the price guides something about the Green Goblin, so they sent him a complimentary price guide, which is kind of cool. Back in 1992. They also have a whole bunch of advertisements for local comic stores and bookstores in the back of these, which is always fun to see. It's an environment I wish I could have experienced. Also a lot of cool old comic book covers. These could be worth some money. Maybe $20 for the set. Maybe. All right, this may not look like anything spectacular at first sight, just another Terry Brooks book that you see all the time at thrift stores, but if I remember correctly, and I do, this one was signed by him back in 1994. It's in very good condition. It's got a plastic sleeve on it. This could be good. $20, huh? All right, $20. Here's some hardcover Wheel of Time books. This one is when Brandon Sanderson came into the mix. Probably only has value if it's first edition. Hopefully I only bought it if it was first edition. Yes, first edition, first printing. Probably go down in value the later it is in the series. Wow, these are all claiming they're signed. Is it one of those where it looks like it's signed again? Yeah, I mean, that's not actually signed with like a pen, but I guess people can classify that as signed? I don't know about that. I wouldn't put it signed because it's, I mean, technically it is. I don't know. Not worth that much money. Got another one. This is book 6, so maybe more valuable because it's earlier in the series. Borders, 10% off. Love to see it. First edition, right? Yes, first edition, 1994. One sold for $30, and I'm not going to look at any more because that is probably not the likely outcome. Here's an interesting one. Richard Scarry's Planes, Trains, Cars, and Boats. Not necessarily in that order. This was another one that I saw as soon as they were taking it out at the thrift store for individual books. I believe this is early 60s, and I do love the aesthetic of Richard Scarry. He goes into pretty good detail about all these different trains and planes, the specific ones that were used throughout the years. This is going to take us home. This is going to get us there. There's only one person on eBay selling this right now, and they're asking $1,800. So that is what it is now worth in my mind. Money in the bank. Put it on the board, $1,800. Couldn't be further from money in the bank, to be honest. But that is what we're going to say right now. What else we got? Black Fawns by Alfred Mendez. This looks like a very weird, obscure paperback book. Oh, signed by supposedly him? It's got to be the author, right? Not too many people trying to sell this on eBay right now. None of them are signed. I'll have to do some more research, but right now, optimistically, we're going to say $100 for this signed, obscure paperback. Now we're cruising. This book is also signed. Last Train to Alcatraz. Not sure exactly what this guy did, but he was a prisoner at Alcatraz, and this was signed by him. Best wishes. It's also written like it was on a typewriter, which is kind of odd. It's sometimes hard to track down the prices of these books, especially when they're signed, but I will eat my words here because there's a lot of them on eBay that were signed. Latest one sold for $25. All right, good. Guests of the Kremlin. Don't even remember when I got this one, but if it's in this pile, it must be worth hundreds of dollars. Got a bookmark in it. Please note the misquoting of FDR on page 1. What did they do? To quote President Roosevelt, a day that shall live in infamy. Isn't that what he said? Is that a misquote? A day that shall live in infamy. Maybe this is a rare first proof of the book. Not a single trace of this book on the internet as far as I can tell, which almost certainly means it is unsellable, but I'm going to do a little more research later on. Maybe I'll find some other obscure website that's selling it for, of course, hundreds of dollars. That'll be my ace in the hole. Absolutely, positively overnight, some old corporate book about FedEx. Sometimes these are collector's items. This one's in good condition. None sold, but a few trying to sell it for about $40. So that's what we're going to call it. It is in much better condition than those. I made a Facebook Marketplace deal with some older woman who had a bookstore at one point. That one was in there. The Sociology of Colonies. All of these really obscure, a lot of them brand new, still in the shrink wrap. And these are risks because there's not a lot of people in the world who are looking for this book, but if they are, then I have it for them. But yeah, currently this book does not exist as far as eBay knows it, so we're gonna have to go to another more obscure website. And again, the furthest thing from money in the bank because 1, I have to list it, 2, I have to find a buyer, and we're not even gonna talk about eBay fees or income tax in this video. We're going to pretend it doesn't exist as if we had that luxury. Another one. Oh, it's a heavy one. The Pathology of Fishes. Just a really good looking book, and I wonder if at the end the books that I can't find a buyer for, if I just lot up and sell as like an academic book lot, they would be good decor for like an Airbnb or something. But this one is going to be extremely rare, written by a lost prophet, and be worth probably like $15,000, which is what we probably need to get to the goal right now. It is not, but there are a few people trying to sell it on eBay for about $10, so I guess that's what that is worth. Data Science Programming for Dummies. I didn't realize that some of these For Dummies books actually had value. I figured they would all go into the big pulp pile of Windows 98 guides and whatnot. This one actually has a sold comp for 20 bucks, so put that on the board. Feedback Systems, a good looking textbook. Does seem a little dated, which almost always means that they're worthless, but let's find out. Sold comp for 25 bucks. All right, we're raking it in now. A Culture of Growth, The Origins of the Modern Economy. Don't remember this book, but again, if it's in this pile, that must mean it's worth something, right? Keep up the trend. 10 bucks, I will take it. Here we go. Knives of the United States Military in Vietnam. Recently, I had an opportunity where a family friend had a basement filled with military paraphernalia. And they knew I was selling books online, so they let me down there. And the guy had a lot of stuff like this, and surprisingly, it has a lot of value. There we go. It's in good shape. Only a little bit of optimism required to say this book is worth $100. That'll be a big plus. And very similar, not only volume 1 of Bayonets of the World, not only volume 2 of Bayonets of the World, but all 3 volumes of Bayonets of the World in one place. Tragically, it's actually a 4-volume set. Realistically though, $150, probably $50 each for these beautiful books, I will say. I like the basic color block design. All right, here's a Marvel Omnibus, The New Mutants. Big, beautiful, and bulky. I am a sucker for a set of books. These would probably look nice on a shelf if someone had them all. And that is an easy $60. Very realistic, brand new in shrink wrap. Sell that for $60. The Book of Conquests by Jim Fitzpatrick. I've had this sitting around for a while because I love the way it looks. It's beautiful artwork on it. I'm not sure exactly the stories they're telling inside because every time I open it up, I'm not looking at the words, I'm just looking at the images. And they do this, I think it's like a Norse thing, where they have all this intricate artwork around the text, which is very distracting to be honest, but I don't know if it's a book of one conquest or a book of many conquests throughout the world, but regardless, it is a beautiful book. $15, that's it? Who do I complain to about that? It has to be worth more than $15. Neopets, the official magazine. I had the first issue of this a while back and its value was surprising. This is the second issue, which would have been nice to have and sell as a set, but it is what it is. Even has the poster inside with a list of all the Neopets cards, which would have been awesome. Let's see, this will surprise me, right? $10. Did not save me. Here's an Anthony Bourdain cookbook. Normally you avoid cookbooks because they're big and they're bulky and they don't sell, but Anthony Bourdain's a big name. Pretty good condition, probably like $13. I might actually keep this one. I've just recently started using cookbooks. For a long time, I just made the same 10 or 12 recipes every time I needed to cook, and it felt good to actually expand my repertoire. We'll see what happens with that. Matisse. Here's another kind of book that generally you avoid, these big, bulky art books. I'm always surprised you find beautiful ones in the thrift store and absolutely no one wants them. $10. I'm not sure why it's been sitting in this pile. Guy drew a lot of nudes. Took me a while to find a page I could show you guys, but there you go. My mom actually had a print of his up in the living room when I was a kid, so that, and it looked very much like that. Very nostalgic. All right, I'm afraid we're not anywhere near our goal, and we've come to the last book of the stack here. Will Eisner, the champion of the graphic novel, which is a very beautiful book. I was flipping through this earlier, and it goes through the history of this guy's graphic novels. You could just tell there's a lot of care and effort went into this. I sound like a bad salesman again, but I don't know. I just like some of this artwork myself. I'm sure I'm going to scan this, and it's going to be worth about $9. I've lost my optimism somewhere along the way. Excuse me. Yeah, $9. $9 is right, unfortunately. All right, we can't end there. We need a few more. I got some of these Robotech books. I had one that was worth a lot of money recently. There's $5 right there. Okay, that's not going to get us anywhere. And there's $5 as well. But we got a vintage edition of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I've had this a few times. It always sells right away. I think about $25 for the set. The Zork Chronicles seems like something weird and niche that may be worth something. It is first edition, first printing. Okay, like $15 maybe. That's something. Here's a bunch of Aliens books. Aliens versus Predator as well. Figured I'd sell them as a lot. Well, none of them are worth anything particularly, but I imagine as a set, probably about $5 each, so 30 bucks? 30 bucks is something. More than the average here. I got one more book in the stack here. Is Kingdom Hearts going to take us home? Is Kingdom Hearts going to bridge this probably $15,000 gap that I have in front of me? No, it is not, but this book is worth about 25 bucks. So that is nice. So we haven't made it there. But luckily, that $17,000 quote I had was definitely predatory. They were telling me I had to tear down the entire chimney and build it back up, which I don't need to do. Realistically, after a little bit of research, probably need about $4,000 to do the fixes that I need. And I haven't done the math, but I bet we're at least halfway there with those books that I showed you today. So that's something. I'm happy about that. A lot of cool books going to my eBay store. I hope you guys enjoyed the ride. As always, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Just finished reading I Am Legend this morning, and combined with this whole chimney situation that I'm dealing with and seeing that there are a lot of vampires out in the world, and if you put yourself out there, they try and suck your blood, financially speaking, it did speak to me on an interesting level. So excited to talk to you about that. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.